Welcome to the Woman Who Code podcast. This podcast episode is around the topic of veterans and technology. My name is Michelle. I am Director of Partnerships here at Women Who Code, and I have an amazing guest joining us today, Jordon Miller, the C-SCRM at Boeing. Welcome, Jordon.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Michelle.
Awesome. So I would be more than happy to give you all a quick bio about the amazing work that Jordon being doing around veterans and technology. So Jordon is security C-SCRM's specialist at the Boeing company. Both internal and external to Boeing, you may see Jordon sharing her deep cybersecurity expertise and championing diversity and inclusion. Jordon was recently celebrated at the 2023 Black Engineer of the Year Awards, receiving the Modern Day Technology Leadership Award. In 2022, she received the Women of Color Technology Rising Star Award and the Boeing Diversity Council People's Choice Award. She is also a 2023 recipient of the Women of Code 100 Technologists to Watch Award. Jordon joined the U.S. military in March 2010, serving at multiple bases. Thank you so much, Jordon, for your service. You're welcome. Her role focused on supply chain management, a significant motivator for Jordon to leap into her current field of cybersecurity was an impactful mentor and coach of hers who has an inspiring story themselves. Her high interest in academia led her to transition off of active duty and into the Army National Guard so she could deepen her studies. That led to her earning her Bachelor's of Science in Business Management, Marketing, and Communications at Norwich University. She later joined the Chemours Company as a procurement analyst and logistics coordinator, and later the Boeing Company in fall 2018. While at the Boeing Company, she earned her Executive Master of Business Administration at Villanova University. Oh my gosh, Jordon, you have amazing award that speaks for itself. Thank you so much for joining us today. And that will lead me to this question to start our podcast by asking you straightforward, when did you first get interested in technology?
Thank you so much for having me. I would say that my interest in technology has always been there. I'm a huge Star Trek fan. I'm a huge technology fan. I've always been drawn to gadgets. I've always been inspired by my family, particularly one of my cousins who is a huge information technology manager in Jamaica right now. He always had me exposed to different computers and even just like my own personal endeavors and just like learning about the CPU back in 2006, around that time when we first had our first CPU. Dating myself here just a little bit, but I've always just been intrigued by what technology has always been, is, and it will continue to be.
Yes, you nailed it. It will always be. So that will prompt me. What prompted you to join the military?
Academia, for sure. At first, I would say I definitely joined the military initially for the opportunity to go to college. I've always wanted to go to college. Later in life, I learned that I was a first generation student out of my siblings. And so it's just like, for me, joining the military initially, it was all about academia, going in, serving, learning, and getting my degree. But then while I was going through the basic training, while I was going through AIT training, while I was stationed at my first duty station in Fort Stewart, Georgia, I learned so much more about myself, from like the discipline that the military instilled in me to just like the daily things that makes a soldier efficient as well as brave, as many young men and women, and even just men and women in general, who would say that they are honored to have veterans. in service. And so I would say for me, it started off with academia and then it grew into so much more. I found that I was really good at what my job. I enjoyed the people, I enjoyed the learning, I enjoyed the service of, I enjoyed being selfless in a way that I was not just like serving myself, but also serving, representing and serving my country.
Awesome. I love the statement about bravery because we know that we are stepping into a world where technology is very male dominant. So I would like to hear, how did that intersect with your interest in tech?
So I've never, it's weird because I never saw technology as just like male dominant. I knew there was like a gender discrepancy. I always like, when I saw women like Katherine Johnson, when I saw women, it's just like, it's like I never like saw like the inefficiencies with women or just like the small number. It wasn't until later, like when I was more aware that it was just like, okay, now I'm in this field, who do I turn to as a mentor? And I was like, wait a minute, there's not a lot of women that look like me, there's not a lot of women in this field. What's been going on? And so it's like I was a bit naive with just like some of the nostalgia around technology and just like being a female in technology, that when I came into that space, I was like really just in awe of what is currently the numbers. And it just made it even more of a passion of mine to ensure that I not only advocate for myself, but anything that I learn, anything that I'm exposed to, I like to say, reach my hand back and just like pull someone else up with me and like share the information and resources that's been shared with me.
Awesome. I hear there is a lot of being a pillar for others based on the on what you just shared with us. So let's go back a little bit of you being in the military. What was it like working in the military? Your role? How did your career develop over time?
So I would say basic training was rough. It's weird because you go to basic training, you're in this holding space for maybe about a week, 2 weeks until your drill sergeants arrive. And I was like, oh, in that 2 week period, I was like, oh, I could do this. It's not hard. And then the drill sergeants arrive and you're like, you get on the bus, they're strict. You get on the bus and then I was stationed at Fort Stewart for my drill, but for my basic training. But once I got off the bus, it was like no games. Everyone, the drill sergeants were just like in character. And it was like, oh, I'm really doing this. So for me, I would say that being in the military had its ups and downs from day one through till when I left active duty, till when I left the National Guard. It's always been inspiring. It's for women, I would say that it's definitely evolved over since I first joined, and I'm grateful for that. But I would say that it's definitely not as easy as you think. Some of the times I reflect and say, I really did that. Like, especially like knowing that the friendships that I've developed over the years, the camaraderie that I have, and just like the passion that I have for the people that I've served with. It's like, it's definitely an experience that I honor greatly to this day.
Awesome. It is definitely an act of bravery because the further I could go was GROTC. And that was it for me. That's the furthest I could go. So definitely more prompts to you there. So Jordon, how did you interact with technology while in the military? Like, give us any observation on the military relationship with tech.
So I would say that it was helpful being in my first duty station, that I was a part of a military intelligence company. I was exposed to quite a few interesting technology pieces, some I can't talk about today, but it was like being exposed in that capacity and then just like learning and understanding the supply chain around those technology. It was really insightful to see like what we really have in our like dossier to defend our nation.
Awesome. One thing that I'm pretty sure you already know, that when we're thinking about success or changing roles, we always have this plan, either is to planning or drawing boards or vision board, that this is what I want to do in this amount of years or space or months or weeks, right? So can you tell us about your move into tech a little bit?
It's interesting you mentioned a vision board, because it wasn't until around 2020 that I actually I've always liked vision boards, like the idea of getting together, cutting magazines out and piecing together. I like the art around it. I didn't really get intentional about my future until, well, the first wave was in 2012 when I really got serious about my future and what my career would look like or what my path would look like. And then it's funny because I made a plan, and some of the things in that plan I did not accomplish. I accomplished other things, and I was recognized for other things, and I achieved other things from that. And so when it comes to like a vision or just like making that pivot, it really came to a incremental piece. Like I knew my purpose, part of my purpose at the time was to go to school, get a degree, grow, learn, because I'm a continuous learner. So it's just like I constantly enjoy opportunities to learn and grow and share what I've learned. And so I would say, knowing that my initial goal and my initial purpose was to go to school and learn and integrate, because I'm also an immigrant. Well, I was an immigrant. And so it's just like immigrating to the US. I did my schooling in Jamaica, came here, and I wanted to expand on that. I wasn't always the greatest at school, particularly in science, in STEM related courses. So it was interesting as I got older how that passion shifted and how that passion grew. And so my purpose from shifting from academia, I would say like once I accomplished earning my master's degree, I really sat down and I thought to myself, what is it that I would see myself doing outside of music, outside of art, outside of writing? What is it that I could see myself doing? And I came across this article where it's just like, if you choose 5 things and stick to those 5 things, it's also a paraphrase of what Warren Buffett outlined in like when you're trying to make a decision or when you're trying to generate your purpose. But I chose 5 things, which for me was one, to keep me fit and active, and that was staying in the military and or really taking health and fitness seriously. And so it's just like something to keep me fit and healthy, something to make me money, something to keep me creative, and 2 others that I cannot remember right now. But my service in the military fit 1, my passion for academia fit the other, my career both in the military and outside of the military fit a 3rd. And then I would say that the most impactful to me was something to keep that I wouldn't mind doing each and every day that wouldn't seem as stressful or wouldn't seem like work. And that was the integration between art and technology for me. And so like knowing that I have a creative side, like I get to use both my left and right side of my brain each and every day, working in the field that I'm working in, because there is a lot of art within technology and technology within art. And so it's just like being able to combine those 2 with my expertise in cybersecurity and just like my expertise in music and art. It's like, it was like that deciding factor that made me pivot into cybersecurity full time.
Awesome. As a fellow immigrant, I feel safe to say that coming from a world where another part of the world where schooling is different, our academic level is different. Like everything about schooling coming from the Caribbeans will be different walking into the United States and this big state of opportunity, right? So while you are looking back at that wasn't your forte, that's not something that you were related or wanted to do, but yet looking now, what made you decide to pursue your bachelor's degree in marketing and business administration?
Business is something that always came natural to me. And it's fun because even though I have a bachelor's degree in business and with concentration in marketing communication, I was able to tailor my degree program at Norwich University. After I've completed like my core requirements, I got to choose some of my electives and like tailor around theater arts. So I participated, I have a minor in English really, where most of those classes was in writing and theater, literature. And so each semester I'd be a part of a musical or a part of a play production. So it's like part of my business degrees was like I got to learn about business, I got to learn about organization, I got to learn about strategy, and then the fun classes like the math classes that we'll talk about that at another time. But I got exposed to things that kept me creative and passionate, and kept me sane throughout my time in undergrad.
How does that degree decision impacted your life?
I would say that it impacted, like, being when I earned my bachelor's degree, I would say that it impacted my life greatly, because it was just like, oh, I earned this. I did this. I'm experienced, the people that I've met. I'm able to apply. That was the biggest piece, like being able to apply and see how all that I've learned during that time is applicable in society, as well as applicable back into the military, because I was still in the military at the time after I completed my bachelor's degree. And so it was just like, for me to be able to apply all that I've learned during that program, it was really impactful to the person that I was back then.
Awesome. And let's take it a little step back on the cybersecurity piece, which is I'm very excited and looking forward to hear more about. When did you start working in cybersecurity?
I would say a year ago, as of Friday would make a year. I would say I started in full-time May 2022, but before that, I was part of different organizations doing research on YouTube, and just like connecting with other online personnel, learning about pen testing, learning about coding. And then I also took a couple classes during the summer, during my breaks in between class. But I would say full-time in cybersecurity started in May 2022. So Friday will be my anniversary, 1-year anniversary, full-time.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm just a little curious. Was that pivoting to cybersecurity part of your vision board as well?
It became a part of my vision board after I updated in 2021. And that's where I mentioned to you, like, after I got my MBA, it's like, okay, I accomplished my first goal. It's like, what's next for me? What would I enjoy doing? And that's where it's like, I came up with the 5 things that I would enjoy doing that would keep me happy and wouldn't feel like work. I knew there was going to be work pivoting and going into it. And so, like, even like the year before I pivoted into cybersecurity, I connected with the then manager of the team that I'm on now, senior manager of the team that I'm on now. And I asked her, like, what are some, what's some advice that you have for me to pivot into this role? What would an excellent candidate look like for your team? What would they need to learn? And I pretty much had that information with her, took all that she gave me, and I enrolled that same summer in St. Lucie University Workforce Center. And I joined their boot camp for the CompTIA. I joined their boot camp for the CISSP. And even just like going through those training and getting those certifications, it was like, oh, I knew most of this already, because again, I was exposed to it by other influencers as well as other mentors of mine in that field. And so I would say that inspiration has always been there. And so just to make that pivot, it was easier for me knowing that I had that support.
I want to take a moment to highlight a very, very important piece that you just shared with us just now, is taking the time to connect with the department or the senior manager or the director or the leader of that department that you are envisioning to join, and actually doing the homework on what would it take? What would it take on my end as a woman in tech, as an individual, as a go-getter, as an immigrant, right? What would it take? And as a veteran in tech, or what would it take for me to be able to call your team my next home? And you did just that. And I wanted to make sure that it get highlighted where you took the extra step to be able to find out what is needed from you to evolve in whatever the area that needs to be evolved in, to be seen as the next person in line for that position. So that being said, I would love to hear about what was your career like after leaving the active services, by highlighting your experiences at the Boeing company.
So I love that you wanted to learn, you asked about my experience with the military, and then like what that transition was like with the Boeing company. I would say leaving active duty to the National Guard was a huge cultural shock. To that point where it's like, even now in my being with the Boeing company, I'm a member of the Boeing Veterans Engagement team. And I'm active in it in a way where it's just like, if there's an event where veterans are transitioning, I'm there to share, because that transition was definitely a cultural shock. And I definitely share, even with my own friends that are still in, like, be prepared on doing this before you get out. It'll help with your transition. But I would say that initial transition off active duty into National Guard was a cultural shock. After about maybe like a year and a half in the National Guard, before I decided to fully transition out of the Army, I would say that it was easy for me to transition, because I had the support of the company that I was with at the time, Kimores. And then I had the support of the Boeing company, who was a huge, like, I was so nervous about going to drill when I first joined the Boeing company, because I was like, well, I don't know what this will look like. Will I still have my job? No, they have a huge team that's like there to help veterans who are actively serving in the National Guard and have to go off the drill while working full time. Like, it made it easy for me to make that safe transition for myself. And so I would say, like, again, the military has always provided me solace and comfort and safety and just like discipline. And it still is amazing how Boeing was able to still live up, actually exceed that expectation of mine, to provide me with stability, safety, security, discipline, and patience. Because working in the field that I'm working, being a part of this huge aerospace industry, I would even say like pioneer in the field, where it's just like things, no 2 days are the same. And so being able to gracefully and patiently pivot and transition each day, I would say being a part of a company that recognizes and honors veterans and provides them that space to transition, made it feel and even exceed that feeling of feeling safe to be my best self.
Awesome. So it is so comforting to hear that as a veteran, you're able to find an organization that able to help through that transition and able to provide you a home and a wide range of support for you to be able to continue being yourself as a veteran. So that being said, as a veteran, what role do you think technology should play in veterans affairs, health services, trainings, you name it? What do you think technology should play in that area?
All of the above and then some. And I would say technology is present for veterans. Technology is present within service and out of service. But I would say to emphasize and create spaces to allow those new to the space, like people who aren't strong at math, because I'm not strong at math, but I'm strong at science and obviously technology. And so it's just like some sciences, but it's just like allow people who are exploring those opportunities to have that space to fail first and try again harder. Because it's like, it took me being safe or feeling safe to explore technology to help me pivot into technology. So it's just like for veterans and technology, or for veterans and how technology can play a bigger role for veterans and non-veterans, is companies and organizations and the military should create those spaces, should create those workshops. Just like how there's a PT test for in the military, or there's a training for like master resiliency and all those different trainings that we require to keep our military service members sharp. There should be training, team building training on technology and all the other fields within STEM made available.
Awesome. I love the way that you talk about in every different area within the military, technology should be elevated. So that triggers this question here for us here at Women Who Code and for our listeners as well. So how can technology help the lives of veterans or help the government to do better in caring for them?
Veteran care is definitely new to me. I recently, even myself, just like made a greater effort to go into the VA and using the VA services, because I would say technology should advance and enhance and provide safety for veterans. And so even just like VA healthcare, a veteran should not have to wait months. A veteran should not have to wait longer than 3 weeks to get seen, especially for mental health. It should not take a veteran more than a week to be screened and helped especially if they're injured, because the service that they give to the country, there's no time limit. It's yes, the basic training is like 3 to 4 months, but some basic training is 3 to 4 months. But after that time period, they're 24/7. And so I think technology should enhance the lives of veterans after they've served.
So, Jordon, as a veteran, as a immigrant from the Caribbean, I already got the idea that you are from Jamaica. So, what would you have for someone coming from your similar background and similar position as you that is looking to get in the tech industry? What would you advise them?
I would say be curious, network. Networking is a huge thing. Like, don't be afraid to reach out and ask questions. Don't be afraid to do your research. Like, you have to come prepared. Like, you have to come prepared to do your part, because yes, someone can give you all the information, but they can hold your hand, but they can only hold your hand up to a certain point. And so it's like, you have to have patience within yourself, the courage to network and do your part to help your vision come to.
It's funny because I wish I knew that I'm from Haiti. So I wish I knew that you were from Jamaica, because I could have related more on our background as immigrants as well to relate to the question. So I hope I didn't overdo it, but I wanted to highlight the fact that you came with a passion and an idea and a goal and a vision, and we end up making it happen, even if it wasn't a straight path, but you make it happen anyway. And to be an inspiration for girls or women back home that might be listening to this, that might be thinking about doing it, but doesn't know the way to do it. And here you are paving the way for them to be able to look at this and be like, okay, Jordon just confirmed that I need to move forward with my plan on pursuing women in tech. So I really, 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 really appreciate it. And I'm glad that I was able to pick on that even in the middle of our conversation, where we were able to elevate that, because it's needed. It's needed back home, and it's needed for them to know that they have the opportunity to do that as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's funny because I love the fact that we're from the Caribbean, and it's just like, we're here, and it's like, whether you're first gen, second gen, or third generation immigrant from any country, it's one of those things where it's just like, this is one of, I have a book coming out in a couple of weeks, and it's like,
you didn't say anything about that. You should have.
I forgot, but I can't forget my own book, but I did forget. But I do have my first book that I'm authoring. It's an anthology, so it's a collection of poems and songs and instrumentals that I've created. But one of the poems that I wrote was From a Sea of Bad Gals, and it's just like a homage to all the Caribbean men and women who paved that way, like Oliver Samuels, Miss Lou, Rihanna, huge Rihanna, sorry, Allison Hydes, like all the women, Shaggy, like Brian Lee and the Dragonaires, Bob Marley, like all the men and women, even to our late Harry Belafonte, like all the men and women before us, that whether it be first gen, second, or third, that paved the way for us in music and technology and in these spaces. It was just like, it's definitely homage to them and to the hard work of our parents that really made the sacrifice for us to live our dreams and find our own space in this world.
That is amazing, because definitely even in the army, right? It was at a time where it wasn't a women thing. And then now it became, right. Now it became a women thing. So through the whole interview, the recording, I was thinking about all of those things and was like, okay, I have to add a little spin on it to make sure that we address the fact that things are changing and they are moving so fast. And just being able to be that voice, or one of many of the first voices, right, to pave the way for them. It's amazing. It was a pleasure and a privilege. Oh my God, I can't wait for your book to come out.
Thank you.
Maybe that will
post it to LinkedIn.
Right. So I would be really excited to even let us know about it. You let us know about it. And then on our end here, as a women technologist to watch award, there is things can happen. So you never know. So let's stay connected and let us know so we can make sure that those things get elevated, not only to everyone, but to our community and beyond. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I really appreciate being here. It really is a privilege, and it's just like a fellow Caribbean sister on the line. It's definitely.
Yes, definitely. Oh my goodness. I really wish, because I would have just pressured you on the Caribbean thing throughout the other community.
And the pato would have come out even more.
Right. So that being said, if you could invent any technology to help veterans, what would it be?
To help veterans themselves, I would say, I have to think about that one. I would say I already have my idea for helping people. Like I'm big on communication and network. So it's just like, I already have that idea, thanks to Star Trek and that vision that I had for myself to invent something. But let me take a minute to think about for veterans, because there's so many things that I would say. So it's just like, if I had to invent any form of technology or service or technology or software as a service to help veterans, I would say it would be something around veteran care. It would be something around creating an on-demand technology service or software that would help veterans in crisis, whether it be mental, financial. So it would be along those lines: mental health and financial stability and financial literacy for veterans, technology around that.
I love that. Maybe it is something that needs to be put in the
Never know.
Yes, definitely. So I know that, oh my God, there is so much to learn from you, to hear, because you accomplished so much that even if you deviate from your plan, you stick to it. And now you are that amazing human being that you are today. So any final thoughts for our listeners? Any ways that they can follow you? This is the time to share.
So I would say that, one, I'm available on pretty much all social media platforms. I'm more active on LinkedIn. The spelling of my first name is definitely key to finding me. So if my first name is spelled right, they will find me. But I would say for the listeners out there, if you are interested in pivoting to cybersecurity, if you're interested in any aspect of technology, if you're interested in integrating your passion for music and technology, or you just like need advice, reach out to myself. I'm always available, as well as other people within my network who I'm sure would always be available to answer any question. My book is titled Light Soul, Dark Academia. It's an anthology set for over the last 10 years, sharing experiences, the places that I've traveled, the people that I've met, in the form of poetry and prose, songs, and instrumentals that I've created myself. And so it's just like, it's an opportunity for me to just like share a collective of some of the works that I've done over the last 10 years, both outside of technology, but then also incorporating technology. Because one thing that I forgot to mention earlier is like, when I was 10, I wrote my very first song by myself. And when I was 15, I wrote my first song with Devonte from Tantra Metro and Devonte. He helped me create my very first song. That's somewhere on my MySpace repository right now. But it was those moments that like further enhanced my passion and drive for not just technology, but also music. And so it's just like bringing those worlds together and being able to share this book that will be ready for pre-release on June 17th. If you're in the DMV area, I am having a book launch party, but like being able to share the collection of work and with the people that's been a part of it, it's super inspiring and super exciting for me to be able to share and also represent my Caribbean sisters and brothers. Because again, there's definitely poetry and music that honor my Caribbean and heritage. So the last thing that I like to add is the resources made available that are out there for anyone that's interested in pivoting technology or specifically cybersecurity. There are different organizations: Blacks in Cyber, Black Women in Cyber, Girls Who Code, Women Who Code. and just like women in cybersecurity, all these different affiliations, organizations, affiliations are out there and are resources for you to learn as well as connect. I know there's also a young influencer that I follow, her Maya Love Code. She has tons of resources out there for anyone that's interested in pivoting cybersecurity and or software engineering. She's a software engineer herself, and so just like being able to learn from them. Another one would be, this one is based out of Brooklyn, New York. The name of the resources that's based out in Brooklyn, New York, so that is primarily focused on helping young and aspiring cybersecurity professionals, is Crypto Harlem, and that's led by Matt Mitchell. Like, he's a huge inspiration, and I recently had the privilege of being introduced to him. He's definitely a great resource as well.
Awesome. I am so sad this is coming to an end, Jordon. It was an amazing opportunity to be able to share this moment with you as a veteran, as a woman in tech, as a award winner, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna keep going. And maybe we can follow up on another episode where we can give us a lot more of your accomplishment along the way. But it was an extreme pleasure to be able to share the space with you today and be able to provide your expertise, not only your expertise and your way of through cybersecurity, through our listeners, our Women Who Code members, our podcast listeners. And I really do appreciate it. And I'm pretty sure our organization and members appreciate it as well.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It definitely is a privilege, just like to fast forward 10 years later, 10 plus years later, that I'm here sharing my expertise and just like sharing and continuously advocating for women in technology, men in technology, veterans, especially in technology, because there's a space for everyone in technology. And so it's just like, it's an honor and a privilege just to be here and represent not just like myself, but also my company.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.